The life and sad ending of Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan was born Robert Allen Zimmerman on May 24, 1941, in Duluth, Minnesota, U.S., where he was raised in a close-knit Jewish community. He loved music from a young age and spent hours listening to the radio. He attended Hibbing High School and as a student played with many bands. He enrolled at the University of Minnesota in 1959. While in university he started performing at coffee houses and became active in the Dinkytown folk music circuit. He changed his name to Bob Dylan when he started performing. After quitting college in 1960, he went to New York City in 1961 in order to pursue a career in music. He started playing at clubs and explored the music scenario. His eponymous debut album, Bob Dylan, was released in 1962. It contained folk songs and two of Dylan's compositions. The album did not do well. The next album he released, The Freewheelin' Bob Dylan, 1963, became a big hit in both the United States and the United Kingdom. The album was a combination of protest songs, love songs, and blues with social messages which greatly appealed to the audience and popularized the singer. Over the 1960s he became immensely popular both as a songwriter and a singer. During this time he also actively became involved in the civil rights movement. One of his biggest hits, the single, Like a Rolling Stone, was released in 1965, which peaked at number 1 in the UK charts. In 1965, Dylan scandalized many of his folky fans by recording the half-acoustic, half-electric album Bringing It All Back Home, backed by a 9-piece band. On July 25, 1965, he was famously booed at the Newport Folk Festival when he performed electrically for the first time. The albums that followed, Highway 61 revisited 1965, which included the seminal rock song Like a Rolling Stone, and the two records set Blonde on Blonde 1966 represented Dylan at his most innovative. His album, Blonde on Blonde, was one of his first major hits. It peaked at number 9 on the Billboard 200 chart in the US and number 3 in the UK. It was commercially very successful and went double platinum in the US. With his unmistakable voice and unforgettable lyrics, Dylan brought the worlds of music and literature together as no one else had. In the 1970s he ventured into films and starred in the 1973 Western drama, Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. He also composed and sang several songs for the film. The film, however, was a failure at the box office. His album, Blonde on Blonde, was one of his first major hits. It peaked at number 9 on the Billboard 200 chart in the US and number 3 in the UK. It was commercially very successful and went double platinum in the US. His 1975 album, Blood on the Tracks, is considered to be one of his greatest albums. It peaked at number 1 in the US and is counted among Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. He embarked on a year-long world tour in 1978 in which he was accompanied by an 8-piece band and 3 backing singers. He performed concerts in Japan, Europe, and the US, giving a total of 114 shows. This tour earned him more than $20 million. The album, Slow Train Coming, out in 1979, peaked at number 1 in Australia. The album explored the musician's newfound Christian faith, and stressed the relevance of Christian philosophy, drawing religious people to it. It went platinum in the US and Canada. Over the 1980s he took to touring more and often collaborated with other musicians and bands. He toured extensively with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers during 1986-87. Some of his biggest albums of the period include Infidels, 1983, Knocked Out Loaded, 1986, and Oh Mercy, 1989. He continued performing throughout the 1990s, though he was no longer one of the top musicians. But he surprised his dissenters by producing the album, Time Out of Mind, in 1997, which went on to win 3 Grammy Awards including the Album of the Year award. The prolific singer continued releasing albums, touring, and performing stage shows well into the 2000s, even though now he was in his 60s. Ever a music lover, he still keeps active and released the album, Tempest, in 2012. Bob Dylan is the proud recipient of several awards. He has won 11 Grammy Awards, the most recent one being Best Solo Rock Vocal Performance for Someday Baby, in 2007. He won the Academy Award for Best Original Song for Things Have Changed, from Wonder Boys, in 2000. He received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian award of the United States, in May 2012. Bob Dylan won the 2016 Nobel Prize in Literature for having created new poetic expressions within the great American song tradition. In personal life, he married Sarah Lowndes in 1965 and had 4 children with her. He also adopted Sarah's daughter from a previous relationship, Maria. The couple divorced in 1977. He formed a relationship with the singer Carolyn Dennis, which resulted in the birth of a daughter. He married Carolyn in 1986. This marriage too ended in divorce in 1992. Probably, right now is his worst time when his health is slowly deteriorating. Thank you for listening to the story about the life of Bob Dylan. Like and comment on your opinion in the comments section below.